So, journal number 5. I'm gonna be doing this web video on chapter 5 in the Grunland text. It's about single adults, basically. I think it's something like chapter something like that. I guess what really struck me is I guess I just really hadn't thought about and realized how many single adults there really are in society. I mean, of course, there's all different types, there's the single never married, the single divorced, the single, whose, spouse died, that type of thing. So, anyway, and then the single who's never been married but, doesn't have kids either. So I was really surprised at all the different types, and the author even kind of categorizes and maps out like the different types of people who are single. Like he says that there are some people who want to be single. There are other people who don't want to be single. Let's see if I can find it. Yes, he divides them into the voluntary, involuntary, the temporary, and the permanent. So yeah, there's some people who are temporarily single because they wanted it to be, but then there are other people who are temporarily single who like really wish that they weren't. Whoops. So anyway, it just me being married myself, I don't really think about being single that much anymore. But one of my best friends is, and she tells me about the struggle it is. She is temporarily single, but she's wishful. She doesn't want to be single for the rest of her life. She, would like to start courting or dating, a young around her age or maybe a little bit older and eventually get married and start a family. That's always been a dream of hers. But for now, she's single, so, and she tells me about how hard it is, to find a good guy to go out with because she's not really into the bar scene, and she, is living in a new city, so she doesn't have that many friends, and most of the ones that she's met at church are kind of either too old or too young. She said the singles group is just, it's so varied. She said there's people as young as her, who she's 26, and then there's people as old as like in their 50s and 60s who either have never married or, they're divorcees. And so she says that, it's hard for her being single. Whoops, sorry about that. And just having to, go through that kind of period of singlehood and singleness. I have another, you know, part that I thought was interesting. The section on single parent families, the unmarried women, and how, a lot of them are created by divorce or by, out of wedlock births. I actually have a friend who last year had a baby, she wasn't married, and whatnot. And so, I mean, it was a hard situation for her, and it was really tough. And she could have been one of those women who, it does say that the birth rate for single women in poverty is much higher than other single women. Well, she had the support of her family who let her move back home. They, I'm not sure, about her financial situation, but, to say that if she hadn't maybe had all that support, she could have been one of those women in poverty. I mean, I don't believe that that's why her situation, why she, ended up becoming pregnant when she wasn't married. I think that's a whole nother issue, but I definitely think that, she's going through something that's tough. She has supportive people behind her that are making it really easy for her, and she's a Christian and a believer, and so she has her faith and God to kind of back her. But I just couldn't imagine what it would be like to take care of my little girl if my husband weren't around. Even though I'm mommy and nobody can ever replace me. For my little girl to have her daddy to be, a huge part of her life, for us to be married together, living in the same household, I think, has a big impact on her, even though she's only 14 months old. So, you know, I definitely, the author talks about how some teenage girls might have a baby out of wedlock for self-esteem issues or for comfort, respect, whatever. I definitely don't think that that was, my friend's case. She was looking at, maybe to adopt or to parent, but, abortion wasn't the issue, and she wasn't doing it because she was like, oh, I need to feel better about myself, so I'm going to have a baby that I have to take care of for the next 18 years. But, you know, anyway. And I guess the next issue that I wanted to talk about was widowhood. My dad has gone through that. My mom passed away when I was in high school, and so I've seen how hard it is to go from being a part of a couple, always having someone to do things with, and then, all of a sudden, bam, being single. He had to raise two teenage daughters, and how lonely it was, especially after we moved out. So, I guess my heart really goes out to those people who are widows or widowers, and how hard it can be socially and just emotionally and intimately not have the person that you're used to having there, or having someone to confide in. But anyway, that's all for this tape this week. Thanks.